It's Pamela Gail Johnson with the Secret Society of Happy People. And tonight we're talking about the first practical happiness principle, which is happiness zappers zap everyone. So what exactly does that mean? Well, studies have shown for years, or as long as I can remember, in all honesty, that most people, regardless of if you would classify yourself as a happy person or you classify yourself as an unhappy person, we all experience a similar number of unhappy experiences. So the number of our unhappiness is different. Of course, there's people who experience things that we would find unfathomable, but in general, the mass majority of us, we kind of experience the same number of life's chaotic experiences, if you will, or unhappy experiences. And the question about what determines a person if they're happy or not really is about how you deal with those experiences. So I would say probably half and this is just my personal philosophy, probably half of your happiness is somewhat dependent on how you deal with what I call the happiness zappers. And I divide them into 4 categories. One is unhappiness, one is stress, one is chaos, and one is annoyances. So what is unhappiness? Unhappiness are those big things. They're the things like someone dies, your pet dies, someone has a terminal illness that you are close to and you're part of the care team. It's you lose your job and you maybe don't have 6 months of living expenses in the bank, and these are big experiences. These are the experiences that just don't easily go away. You can't just go do a happiness booster and all of a sudden feel great about that particular experience. So they're going to take time for that unhappiness, to dissipate and to move on, or for the situation to change, because there's just, time that is attached to it. So that's, the big picture of what unhappiness is. The next one is stress. There's good and bad stress. But, stress are those things when we get super worried about future unknowns that we probably have zero control over or very little control over. Or it also happens when we really just overload our to-do plate. These are the 2 times we get super stressed. Like I said, we're kind of worrying about a future we don't have a lot of control over. So maybe your company's possibly doing layoffs. Maybe you're waiting on test results about your health or the health, again, of a loved one. Sometimes diseases are a family, affair. Sometimes it's just too many to do. So we're so busy doing things, we're maybe not taking care of ourselves, so our stress gets bigger. We don't get enough sleep. We don't do a lot of things. So stress is one of those things that is going to always be around, and we have to somewhat learn how to manage it versus letting it, manage us. But it's not going to go away. And then there is sometimes even good stress. So that's the stress where we get extra adrenaline. So we do a great project. We finish it and get it turned in, and it's better than what somebody thought. And again, we're maybe pumping on the 11th hour caffeine and adrenaline to make that happen. Maybe we're running a marathon and it's, again, that adrenaline kick, and we make sure we're training because we're stressed if we don't. There's this good stress because it causes us that kind of up our game so that we're being the best we can be. Chaos, and some of these are intertwined. So some things that create stress can be linked to unhappiness. It can also be linked to, say, chaos. There's a stress component that goes with that. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're standalone. But chaos are those things like, your kid invites the whole soccer team over to your house after practice and doesn't tell you about it. And, you're at last minute managing kids and pizza and getting people fed. Sometimes it's something like an ER visit. Somebody gets hurt and you're in the ER, or a traffic accident. Chaos is just these things that happen unexpectedly, and they change the plan for the day. They're overwhelming in the moment they happen, but they kind of dissipate pretty quickly too. And you may have to take some extra time to recharge yourself from the stress that a chaotic moment, provides you. The 4th one is annoyances. And I think this is the one we have the absolute most control over. And yet many times we let this dictate our happiness. So we'll get mad because a cashier was rude to us, or a person was rude to us, and we think, oh, what's their attitude? Or I think for me, the thing I learned sometimes about looks are deceiving, and it made me more empathetic, and it made me give people the benefit of the doubt more when I was maybe questioning their attitude. I remember when I was flying down to my mom was in ICU, and I was flying down, and I was getting on this plane, and I remember thinking we were going to have to take her off life support the next morning. And I remember just thinking to myself, everybody on this plane thinks I'm traveling down by the beach to go on a vacation, and I'm traveling down for the worst day of my life. But you didn't know that when you were looking at me. You might have thought I was stressed or tired because I wasn't sleeping, but you wouldn't have known what was really going on. And it really did teach me that I have no idea what's going on in somebody's life unless I know them personally, know them really well. And even if I do, I may still not know what's going on in their life. So sometimes when somebody's snippy or not so nice, I usually try to give them the benefit of the doubt because it's an annoyance. Now, if it's somebody that's in my life every single day and they're doing it, that's different, and you have to address that in a different scenario. But in general, these are like little annoyances, like traffic. You know, if we leave late, we're going to get stuck in traffic. We get annoyed at the traffic. Well, the traffic's going to be there whether we're annoyed or not. It's like cold and hot weather. I live in Texas, so we get a lot of hot weather, and I'm not a big fan of it. But it's part of the climate, and it does me absolutely no good to be annoyed by the hot weather. Why? Because it's going to be hot anyway. It would be the same thing if I lived in a cold weather climate. So there's a lot of things about annoyances, and I try to sum up annoyances by, if you will not remember that moment a year from now, then it's probably an annoyance, and you probably shouldn't let it steal any more of your happy moments. You shouldn't just give it, you shouldn't give it the power. You should just be, put it in the annoyance box and walk on. So this is sort of, so when I'm not feeling my happiest, maybe I try to figure out which of these 4 experiences, or which combo, because it's usually a combo, are impacting my happiness. And I try to then, make adjustments where I can. If it's something that's long-term, I try to create more of I try to set realistic expectations, because they're, again, nothing more annoying than when somebody's like, oh, you should just be happy. Happiness is a choice. Well, sometimes if you're in the middle of grieving, or, somebody who's really sick and you're trying to help out, or there's just, something unhappy going on around you, that's just easier said than done. Now, again, maybe you can find another moment of happiness, maybe watch a sitcom or just something like that and give yourself, some laughs or an amused moment, but you may still be feeling not quite your perkiest. Like I said, chaos and those kinds of chaos you just are going to have to deal with in the moment, because they're going to happen. The moment's just going to happen, and you just try to triage and manage it the best you can. Stress, that's just going to be something you should try to do every day, and there's a million stress management tools. We'll get into some of those in the future. And like I said, annoyances, just try to remember, hey, I'm not going to remember this in a year, so just let it go right then and there. Anyway, looking forward to talking to you in the next video about how the practical happiness principle number 2, which is happiness is personal. Bye for now.